Okay, Miss Howard, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Why don't you just start by telling me about your complaint and why you reported a complaint through policeabuse.com?
Okay. I have two complaints actually involving the same officer. I was arrested. I live in a shelter facility, a residential facility, and I was arrested at that facility, and I was assaulted by the officer, one of the officers, and they almost even used a taser on me, and I wasn't, threatening them. There was no reason for that. And I was actually falsely arrested again just recently, last week, and it was the same officer. She's pretty much bullying me, and so that is why I called in for to complain
Okay, I'm pulling up your complaint
because
form.
I kind of want to try to get a lawsuit going, I believe. So
Okay, I'm pulling up your complaint and I'm going to take a look at it. Just give me a minute. Okay, your complaint is against Officer Angelica Natilli Potts.
yes, Angelica Natalie Pot.
Natalie Potts, sorry about that. And this is the
Yes,
Unified Police Department in Utah.
yes.
Okay, I need more specifics in terms of what the officer may have done that you felt was inappropriate.
Okay. I actually called in to make a police report
Mm-hmm.
so that I could try to get a civil stalking injunction against a young lady who was harassing me at this facility. And I had tried numerous things with the staff, and they were not. Um, that didn't work basically. So I went down to Salt Lake County, and they told me I needed to file two police reports to get civil stalking injunction. So I called up there to file the report, and she was basically verbally abusive towards me on the phone. She kind of harassed me. She lied to me about the laws, um, stating things that were untrue, and it upset me. And I kind of had an outburst over the phone. I said, who do you think you are trying to trick me? I said, I'm not playing games, here with you calling in. And I hung up on her because she refused to take the report. She said that she could not take the report.
Okay, so let me make
So
sure.
I,
Let me stop you for a moment. So
so that was the thing that
uh,
initiated.
okay. So let me ask you a few questions. Is there anything more
Yeah.
Is there anything more serious that she's done other than being rude to you or abusive in some way over the phone?
Yes.
Okay. What else did she do?
Okay, so that was the initiation of the abuse, and after that, she came up to the facility, and she basically, I told her, I don't know why you're here. I don't really have any reason to talk with you. I don't want to talk with you anymore. And I was upset, and my voice was raised. And she told me I was committing disorderly conduct and called up her commanding officer, the sergeant, I don't know what his name is, called him to come arrest me because she didn't have handcuffs or, anything like that with her.
Well, let me
And
ask
he
you a
charged
question.
in the
Hold
room.
on. Was she coming to the facility
Yeah.
in reaction to your phone call or some other call?
Yes. She said that she came to the facility to finish taking my report because I was angry and hung up the phone. She didn't say why she was, I was angry on the phone. She did not.
So let me make sure I understand this. So you were reporting a complaint about another resident in a community center where you're getting help, and you called the police.
Right,
You were making a report to this officer, and you didn't like the way
right.
she
The
was.
non-emergency line.
Okay, and you didn't like the way she was talking to you, or she said she wasn't going to take a report. Is that right?
Right,
Okay, so then you hung the phone up and you considered the matter closed, but then she showed up at the facility sometime later and
right,
wanted to talk to you.
right. A few minutes.
Okay,
Yes,
and you at that point had not called her or asked her to come out. She came out on her own.
right.
Okay. And was she hostile and threatening to you at that second encounter when she showed up at the facility?
She was, I would say, I felt like she was threatening me with her body language. It was kind of aggressive. She was, like, leaning forward, you know, like she was going to, I guess, physically, you know, attack me. But it could just be a misconception. Her fists were, you know, raised. Her hands were, you know,
Okay,
raised
well,
or
well
anything
then,
like that.
if she didn't do anything dangerous or hostile, then let me just come back to the other things that were said between the two of you. Just go over what she said to you and what you said in response.
What she said was, come back to the office before we talk to you. So we went into the manager's office, and I said, I don't even know I was loud. I'm trying to kind of give you the impression of how loud my voice was. I don't even know why you're here. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't have any reason to talk to you. And she said, you have a warrant for your arrest. And I was like, I don't have any warrant. Sorry. And she was like, what's your birth date? And I said, October 4th, 1984. And I said, she said, okay, well, we have another warrant for someone named Sherri Howard without that birth date. And then I said, okay. And I'm kind of missing a piece here, but I recall telling her that I did not respect the way that she treated me on the phone, and I was going to talk with her supervisor in the morning because I didn't feel that people that behave in such a manner on the telephone, you know, while taking a non-emergency report should even be, you know, working in that position or are of the character to, you know, work in that field. And she just said, you're committing disorderly, she said, calm down. And I said, no, she said, you're committing disorderly conduct. And I said, I'm not committing disorderly conduct. You tell me how, go get the book and show me, because I'm not even in a public place. And I had been previously charged with that, and I'm familiar with the definition of that law. And so she was just like, calm down. And I said, I'm sorry, but I'm not intending to bother anybody. I'm just upset, and I can't help my tone of voice. When I'm upset, I raise my voice. And she kind of kept bothering me. She was pushing my buttons and saying things that she knew would upset me. And
but let me ask you.
I finally said, okay, well, just please don't talk to me anymore. So we sat and waited in silence.
Okay, let me stop.
Let
me stop you there. So far, what you've told me amounts to an unprofessional conduct complaint, and I'm happy to help you file that. But on your complaint form, it says false arrest. Were you actually arrested in this situation?
I was actually arrested for the disorderly conduct that she said that I was committing.
So she did arrest you?
Yes, the other officer showed up a few minutes later, and he charged at me, and he was like, you're under arrest, and he grabbed my wrist. And he pulled my hands up to his face, and he bit my wrist back as far as it would go. They ended up pulling my hands out of his grasp, accidentally bumping into her arm, and I stepped back out of the way and backed up into a desk that was there, and I turned around, and they were grabbing my arms, and she pulled his taser off his belt and held it up to my waist, told me she was going to tase me if I kept resisting. And they just handcuffed me. She clamped the handcuffs on way too tight, and I had neurological damage for about a month and a half after that, where the tops of my hands were numb. Mm-hmm. When I washed my hands, I couldn't feel my hands, the water running over them.
Okay,
and then they charged me also with resisting arrest and assault on a peace officer for bumping her arm.
Okay. So all of this stemmed from you calling the police department to file a report against someone who was harassing you, who lives in a facility where you are, and you discontinued the phone call, you hung up, and told her you had nothing more to say. She then, the officer, left the police station, came to your location where you were, and demanded that you continue the report and you told her you didn't want to talk about it. She told you were getting upset and loud, and then arrested you for disorderly conduct and resisting arrest and assault on a police officer.
Well, one of those things is not true. That she came up there. I basically told her I didn't want to talk to her, and she broached the subject of a warrant for my arrest. And she then stated that she would take the rest of the report if, you know, I was willing to give it to her. But I was like, I mean, she wasn't really on the subject. She wasn't asking me any questions about the report. She wasn't seeming interested in that. She really seemed more intent on, you know, pushing my buttons or being angry with me and, you know, kind of harassing me.
Well, let me make sure I understand this. Essentially, the arrest that did happen and you were taken to jail on several charges started with you hanging up on a police officer. That's what got you into all this trouble?
I believe it was the fact that I raised my voice to her and said, "Who do you think you are?" I said, "I'm not playing any game," and I hung up the phone after that.
So you speaking back to her and hanging up resulted in her coming out to talk to you.
I think that was what. Yeah, I think it was mainly because she had already told me I can't take the report because there was no crimes committed, and I was like, okay, then, you know.
I know that's where
she was lying to me. So,
well, that's where this becomes.
So that's the end of it.
I'm sorry.
Why come and say I'm going to take the rest of the report when you can't take the report? You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. So.
No, I'm sorry.
I believe it was that I was rude to her. She was upset also and expressed her she was offended by the fact that I actually called to make a report instead of moving to another shelter. So she was also offended by the fact that I had made a phone call to begin with.
Okay.
That and that I spoke rudely.
Okay. All right.
Sure
Ms. Howard, I think I have enough information. Let me just talk a little bit about what I can see based on what you told me. You have an unprofessional conduct complaint based on what you've told me so far. It sounds like you may also have an excessive force complaint because even using the handcuffs in that manner would be inappropriate. And you may have other complaints about them following their own policies with regard to how this self-initiated call even started. I don't know that hanging up on the officer had, you know, especially after she already told you she couldn't take a report, what would be the reason to come to talk to you? So there's some problems here. We will help you. I just need to put some notes in your file after I have a chance to review your complaint form, and I'll do that within the next hour. So look for an email from our database system. You'll get an email through your account with a message from me giving you some instructions, and then we'll be back in touch after you get those instructions and have a chance to respond.
All right. I don't know, but I filed a second complaint with your office as well for another incident that happened last week for the same officer.
Okay. Well, let's do this. I try to keep
I don't know if you want to do that now or later.
No, I will want to do that. Let me just make the notes for this case file, and we'll reschedule a follow-up meeting with you to talk about the other case.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Well, listen, I will be in touch through email, and you'll get something within 48 hours. If you have any questions before that or after that, please call our office, and we'll go from there, okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Have a good day.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.